when I think about like the history of racism, I'm fascinated by racism as a concept, as as an action, policy. All of it fascinates me. I read these stories in history. And one of the most fascinating things I read about recently, one of the most fascinating places, was a place called Rochester, New York, where genuinely, this blew my mind, where they had a city which was basically dedicated to rehabilitating people who had escaped slavery. All right, so black people who had escaped the South, got into the North, were rehabilitated at this place. Frederick Douglass wrote many of his works there. The suffragette movement kicked off there. It's a powerful, powerful little place. And like I was reading these stories, and what they would do is, slaves would escape from the South, they'd make their way to the North, they would get to Rochester, the Underground Railroad would get them there, and then they would rehabilitate them, put them on boats, and send them to Canada so that they could live free. And I was like, it's a fascinating story for two reasons. One, to remind you that there were a lot of good people, white people out there, because a lot of time I get angry at white people, and then I'm like, no, there's good ones, calm down. And the second part of it that was amazing was that they convinced black people to get back on boats. I think that's one of the most amazing stories I've ever read. Because like, do you know how convincing you'd have to be to convince someone who's they've just escaped slavery? Think about that for a second. Somebody's just escaped slavery. They've made their way there, finally. Right? They wake up after one night of free sleep. And they walk out and it's just like, hey, man, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you did for me, man. Well, you know what, my friend? Nobody deserves to live the way you lived, and I'm glad we got you out. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, my friend. Okay, all we got to do now is get you some paperwork, get you cleaned up, and put you on a boat, get you to Canada, and you can live a free life, and everything's gonna be better. I'm sorry, hold up. Yeah, could you come again? What did you say? Oh, I know, the paperwork thing is weird, but we gotta get you some identification. No, you said something about a boat? Yeah, we're gonna get you on a boat so you can get to Canada. Yeah, I don't, we don't do boats no more. I don't know if you know our history, but me and my people, we took a cruise one time, that shit didn't go so well. So yeah, we gotta find another way to get to Canada if you don't mind. No, but the boat is the best way for us to get there from Rochester. Yeah, that might be the best way for y'all, but we gonna walk. Hell, we can run real good. We can run, but we ain't getting on no boat. My friend, you gotta get on the boat. Man, I ain't gotta do shit. I just got free. Imagine if I get on that boat and on the other side I'm in the same place. What they gonna say to me? Why'd you get on that boat? Because he was real nice. Oh, hell no. I ain't getting on no boat. Well, you gotta get on the boat, though. You're free now. You gotta get over this. Look, man, maybe one day in a few hundred years, one of my descendants named Kanye West will be over this shit, but I ain't over it right now. So I ain't getting on no boat. We gotta get you on the boat, damn it! I'm not getting on no boat! And that was the day the phrase "nigga please" was invented. That white man turned and he was like, "Nigger please, I need you on that boat!" And that story was passed down generation to generation. Black person to black person, free man to free man. So then that white man got down on his knees and he said, "Nigga, please. Nigga, please, nigga, please." I ain't never heard that phrase before in my life. Nigga, please, nigga, please, nigga, please. I know that's probably a phrase Barack Obama used at least once in the White House. At least once. Like, Mr. President, do you think Trump is because of you? Do you think you caused this? Oh, nigga, please. Just one time. One time I know he used it. Actually, I had the pleasure of meeting President Obama while he was still in office. Probably one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in my life. Yeah, came out of nowhere. I was at the Daily Show, I was in my office, and I got a phone call from the administration. And someone on the other end was like, "Hi, Trevor, would you like to interview the President of the United States in the White House?" And I was like, "Do you ask stupid questions?" He's like, "Of course I want to meet the President of the United States. Are you serious?" And the day finally came, went to DC with my TV crew, and they set us up in a room which is literally opposite the Oval Office. We put all our cameras in place, and all we're doing now is waiting for the President to arrive. So we're staring at the door with bated breath. And the reason we're staring is because they don't give you an exact time of the president's arrival for his safety, right? So they just give you a window, like the cable guy. So we're all waiting there, listening to every footstep, every moment. And then he just popped in behind us, scared the shit out of everybody. Yeah, because there's a secret door, but they don't tell you, again, for safety, right? So we're staring at that door, and all of a sudden he was like, hello. And I was like, ah! But I had a great time in the interview with him. He was really, really kind to everyone in the room. And then we turned off the cameras, and I promise you he became even nicer. We just had a conversation. I thought he was going to leave. I mean, he's president of the United States. You've got to go do something. And he just chilled for a bit, you know, and we spoke as human beings, and it went really well until he turned to me and he said, Trevor, you know, I got a show that I'm doing in a few weeks, a little thing that I thought maybe you'd want to pop by and perform if you don't mind. I said, Mr. President, I would be honored. You just let me know when and where. What's the show going to be for, sir? He said, oh, well, Trevor, I'm doing a little thing for my AIDS, and I thought maybe you'd want to be there. I said, I would love to. Thank you. I'm sorry, a show for what? He said, for my AIDS, Trevor. I said, you have AIDS? And then he explained what he meant. And I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. Because I had just looked at the President of the United States and asked him if he had AIDS. And you know what the worst thing is that he was nice to me as well? Because I said that, and then he explained, and then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. President, I didn't mean that. I don't even know why I thought it's just like you said AIDS, and like the AIDS. You know, because here's the thing, in my defense, right, I get it now. He means AIDS as in the White House aides, the people who help the president. I get it now, but in my defense, where I'm from, AIDS is some other shit that doesn't help anybody. No one in Africa is walking around like, let me introduce you to my AIDS, huh? So now I'm here and I'm frazzled and I'm like, Mr. President, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. You don't have AIDS. You definitely, and even if you did have AIDS, there's nothing wrong with having AIDS. There's no stigma. We can still be cool. Actually, I don't even know why I'm saying this. I'm so sorry. And he's like, Trevor, calm down. Trevor, calm down. I was like, I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said I'm probably the dumbest person you've ever met, Mr. President. He's like, no, Trevor, calm down. I'm the dumbest person you've ever met. He's like, no, Trevor, that's not true. I've met Trump. Get out of here! So smooth. I'm used to it in life, though. This is something that commonly happens to me living in the US. You know, I understand it as an idea. If you move to another country, you're probably going to have to learn another language. I didn't realize that would happen in America as well, because I speak English, but here people speak American. Similar, but not the same, right? So like small things change, small things, and I accept that small things change, like pronunciation. For instance, the thing you drink, I call that water, yes, water. In American, you say water, right? Water, yeah. I say water because there's a T in the word, right? The glass you see yourself in every morning, I refer to that as a mirror, yeah, right? In American, you say a mirror, right? A mirror, yeah, which is not the same thing to me. A mirror is the glass. A mirror is a Middle Eastern man. Very different experience. It's not the same thing. And that's just pronunciation, right? You also have to learn the meanings of words that you already knew when you moved to America. For instance, where I'm from, there's a garment that men commonly wear under their shirts. It's white and it's sleeveless. Yeah? Where I'm from, we refer to this as a vest, okay? I've now learned in American, it is known as a wife beater. Yeah, I have so many questions. And so the best and worst experience I had learning American happened to me when I first moved to the US. I lived in California, in Pasadena, when I first came to the United States, right? And the reason I lived in Pasadena is because that's where I knew my first American friend, a guy by the name of David Meyer. He came to South Africa to film a documentary. We became the best of friends. And one day we were hanging out in Dave's apartment. And Dave's chilling on his beanbag. And he looks over at me and he's like, Trevor, dude, I don't know about you right now, but I'm starving. I said, I think you mean you're hungry, Dave. Say, what? I said, it doesn't matter, what do you want to eat? So you know what I'm craving right now, man? I'm craving tacos. I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do it, man. Let's go to tacos. What? Isn't that the restaurant you're craving? Tacos? Are you being serious right now? You've never had tacos? I said, no, I don't know what tacos is. You've never had tacos? My answer hasn't changed from now, Dave. No. I've never had tacos. You've never had tacos? And by the way, I hate when people do that. You know when people ask you the same question over and over again because they can't believe you haven't had the exact same life experience? You know that thing people do? Like with everything, they'll be like, oh my God, have you heard the new Beyonce? No, I have. You haven't heard the new Beyonce? No, I have. You haven't heard the new Beyonce? Oh no, now I have. No, I'd never had tacos, right? I'd never had tacos because in South Africa, we don't really have Mexican food, okay? We don't have Mexican food because we don't have Mexicans. They never came over. It's not my fault. Dave was personally offended. I'll never forget, he jumped up and he was like, dude, I cannot believe you've been in America all this time and you've never had tacos? I said, Dave, why is it such a big deal? He's like, because, Trevor, nothing says America like tacos. I said, really? Nothing says America like Mexican food? And you know what's funny is I feel like in that moment, I feel like Dave was being profound. He didn't even realize it, but that was a profound little nugget that he had just espoused. Nothing says America like tacos. I've had the privilege of traveling everywhere in this beautiful country. I've been to places like Erie, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, Honolulu, Hawaii, you know. I've been everywhere, and one thing I've learned across the board in America is that Americans love tacos. Everywhere you go, Americans love tacos. Love tacos. Even people you wouldn't expect. I was watching the news one day, and there was a guy at a rally, right? And they were asking him about immigration and families being separated, etc. And this guy, like, regardless of his politics, like, he was being really mean and xenophobic and racist, you know, just acting real presidential. And the journalist asked him about children, and he just went straight, and he was like, boy, I'll tell you what, I don't give a damn about any of these goddamn Mexicans, you heard? They came over here, they ain't supposed to be here, boy. Woo! It's our country now, you heard? That's right, boy, go back to where you came from. Woo! These Mexicans ain't done nothing good, they ain't brought nothing good to America, we don't need y'all. Come on, Bubba, it's Taco Tuesdays. Get out of here, but leave the recipes. I feel like there should be a rule in America. They should say, you can hate immigrants all you want, but if you do, you don't get to eat their food. Yeah? That's a fair exchange for me. You hate immigrants, no immigrant food. And when I say no immigrant food, I mean no immigrant food, nothing. No Mexican food, no Caribbean food, no Dominican food, no Asian food, nothing. Only potatoes. And I'm not even saying like flavored potatoes, I'm just saying plain potatoes. No spice. Because no immigrants, no spice. Don't ever forget that. Both figuratively and literally, no spice. And I know some people would take that, I know. I know there's some people right now who'd be like, well, you know what, Trevor, take your immigrants, take your spice, and get the hell out of here. You say that now. Because you've never lived a life without spice. But don't ever forget, a life